intercepted. Gilmore jumped in at the Los Angeles 32, and you can credit the pressure for that one.
Oh, the Cowboys win it 20-17. They improved to 4-2. Heading into the bye week, you take a win any way you can get it. That one, a big sigh of relief as Stephon Gilly gets the game-winning interception. Cowboys were pressuring Justin Herbert all night. They didn't get a sack until the second-to-last play. Micah Parsons finally getting home. Dak Prescott, 21-30, 272 yards, a touchdown, and led the team in rushing with 40 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus, 877-881-1053. The number to call, the number to text, 877-881-1053, as we want to hear from you after a Cowboys Monday night victory over the L.A. Chargers. How you feeling, Brian?
You know, it was, man, I'll tell you what, you have to be really proud of the way that they were able to battle throughout this game. It wasn't really perfect in a lot of ways. The inability to run the football is something that, is just kind of been throughout the first 6 games of this season. I thought Dak played a hell of a game. You know, his ability to maybe a throw or two that was missed, but, you know, there were some big plays that he had to make. They moved him around in the pocket, or he was able to escape a little bit. The play to Pollard on the 60-yard play, some of the third down throws that he was able to make to extend the game. Those are the things you have to have happen. I just wish that they would have taken better advantage of that Chargers secondary. I thought that they could have. But, hey, you go on the road, you win. It was a tough loss last week against San Francisco. But to battle through and, to have a victory like this and get you to the bye at 4-2, put your game back of Philadelphia, who had a loss yesterday. So it's hard to win in the NFL, and the Cowboys did a good job of getting one done today.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't pretty for both teams, but a lot of penalties in this one. Cowboys certainly, you had the special teams error as well, where Tolbert thinks, that must have hit Turpin. He's trying to get onto the football to recover it. One.
That's tough.
Ends up being turned over. Chargers certainly had a lot of issues as well, penalties on their side. Neither team really got the job done on the ground. Austin Eckler, just 14 carries, 27 yards. Cowboys held the Chargers running game in check, only 53 yards rushing for them. But you're right. Tony Pollard now, this is another game he had more receiving yards than he did rushing yards. Just 15 carries, 30 yards, averaging 2 yards a carry, 96 yards as a team, and that was elevated because Dak Prescott had 40 yards on his own.
Yeah, it's been tough, and we've all been waiting. We're all super excited about this offensive line coming together, and now you have your starters, and this is the way it is, and everybody was happy, and okay, the line's going to be better, they're going to be able to block and all that. It's been a problem, and we need to find out tonight, how many loaded boxes were they playing against. But it's clear that they're just not getting that push up front. And that's very simplistic to say, but when the Cowboys are really running the ball, you could see those guys, the combo blocks, the second-level blocks. I don't think they were particularly good just off the TV copy. I'll get the tape at 6 in the morning tomorrow and get after it. But I don't think they were particularly good at center today. I didn't think this was a very good game with Steele and on his side. Zach Martin even had a holding call against him that was declined. But man, I was excited about the 5 guys that were going to play. 2 games in though, that we've seen some continuity problems and just a little bit of technique problems as well. When it comes to running the football.
Yeah, definitely will be something to monitor going into the bye week there, see if they can fix some things. But CeeDee Lamb, we talked about the frustration that he showed after the San Francisco game. Thought he'd get targeted quite heavily tonight. Maybe didn't even get targeted as much as he should have. 7 of 7, 117 yards, a 23-yarder the long. You had Michael Gallup. He led the team in targets with 10.
Yeah.
Only 3 catches, though, for MG, and he was being held on what could have been a touchdown that he dropped that wasn't called. But I felt like, man, you could have even gotten to CeeDee Lamb more tonight.
Yeah, this felt like one of those games there where if you thrown the ball to CeeDee Lamb 20 times, he probably would have had 17 receptions.
He was feasting.
Yeah, and he's one of these guys that if you're not going to play him correctly, if you're going to allow him space and his ability to run routes, he will find a way to move you and then find a way to get open. And then, his ability to catch the ball in his hands, get up the field, is impressive. It was really, really nice to see Brandon Cooks get involved the way he did. Some of the big plays that he was able to make, the 3rd and 9, he comes up with a 11-yard reception, the touchdown. He is an outstanding route runner. And against the secondary that struggles to cover, I'm sure we'll watch the All-22 tomorrow, and he'll be open a lot more than that. Maybe he could have had those Michael Gallup targets and had just as big a game as CD had. But just a really a nice win with so many things that happened in this game. I really couldn't blame Tolbert. You're blocking. Basically it looked like to me that the defender was shoving him back, hands in the face, not called. We saw hands in the face penalty call, but when you're in that position, all you're thinking about is why is everybody moving to the ball? And he was thinking about moving to the ball too. So unfortunate there that they got the fumble, they gave up the fumble. But it was an effort play trying to make it. He just didn't know what the situation was, and that's hats off though to him for at least trying to get it done.
No question, and I'm with you on Brandon Cooks. 4 for 36, had the big touchdown. You mentioned the 3rd down play, also the end around. He got 14 yards on it. We saw a play like that last week. Good to finally see him get involved in this. Cowboys red zone 50% tonight, 2 of 4. Yeah. Certainly, you still want to see improvement there, but it seemed a little better, especially finally using Dak legs in the red zone.
Yeah, they tried to use Dak legs on the 4th down run. The brotherly shove or tush push, whatever you want to call. It didn't seem like to me that they were in very good position to get Dak to move forward. It looked like too on the TV copy that Broaddus just got stoned at the point of attack there and got driven back. Your center's got to get a little bit of movement right there. Give the Chargers some credit for the way they were able to jam that inside, and they, it just wasn't a very good a push from the back end, and Dak really couldn't get any momentum because Broaddus was not able to do that. So, but Dak running the ball, I was glad to see it. There's been several times this year where we've talked about if Dak would have just pulled it and ran.
Keeps it, yes.
If he pulls it and runs. If he pulls it and runs, it's a touchdown. Well, today you saw him pull it, read the end perfectly there, and then was able to get the 18-yard touchdown.
Yeah, no question. And a lot of people texting in, Dak using his legs, the 6'8", his rushing was the difference tonight. Timely runs for the quarterback, simply a must in today's NFL.
Bloodied and muddied kind of guy today.
I'm with you, 100%. Defensively, we wondered how do you go ahead and fill in for Leighton Vander Esch? Is it more Micah Parsons off the ball? Ended up being a lot of Marquise Bell, and boy, did he have a good game.
Yeah, I think that Marquise Bell has been playing a little bit of game. Last week I felt kind of bad for him on that crossing route that Kittle ran. He was looking for a crosser and then didn't look back or didn't have enough depth, and the defense as a whole was not very good last week. But Bell, that was their answer. That was their answer this week was how are you going to make up for Vander Esch, the loss there? And, Bell is not the biggest guy, but you look at him and the way he's played, that slippery ability to get through there, make a tackle behind the line of scrimmage. He is a good tackler when he gets in position to do so. So nice job by Dan Quinn and the staff having a plan for him and then being able to execute it the way they did.
Yeah, and then Damone Clark led the team in tackles. A game that he struggled last week. You needed him to bounce back tonight.
You needed him. You needed him to absolutely bounce back and have a game. He had not played very well until the New England game was by far his best game. But with no Leighton Vander Esch in there, they're going to need somebody that's going to need to double-digit tackle. And I think that's kind of where the Cowboys' defense is right now. They've got to find a way to kind of pull this all together until Vander Esch gets back.
Cowboys get the win on the road, 20-17 on Monday Night Football. Cowboys postgame show brought to you by Pepsi, made for Cowboys watching. Secondary-wise, though, Brian, as we go back and watch this, it'll be interesting. It seemed like there were definitely opportunities left on the field for the Chargers. Justin Herbert, of course, dealing with that fractured finger, maybe throwing him off a little bit. Deron Bland with some huge plays in this, but also definitely got beat on a couple double moves from Keenan Allen.
Yeah, Keenan Allen is such a B word to have to deal with in a game. He really is very difficult. The double moves, we talked about it leading up to the game. and then the pregame show is he's a guy that can't run out of sight. But what he can do is he's a big body guy. He'll body you up on the outside. The double moves. Bland was doing his best to try and combat that size. And I think Keenan Allen, I mean, they missed him a couple of different times, or this might have been a different game. But I think the pressure, I think the fact that Herbert was dealing with that broken finger on his other hand, and they got to him early. And I think the Cowboys affected his eye level, one with the sacks, but the pressure around him and the thought, even, if you look at even they got Slater, that was his third holding call this year. This guy is a pro's pro when it comes to blocking, and they did a good job. The rushers did a good job of affecting him and affecting the Pipkins.
Pipkins on the other side.
Pipkins on the other side. That's where they got the sack from. And I knew going into this game last week it was McKivitz. It was, hey, Colton McKivitz. That's kind of what I was expecting last week. Put a lot of pressure on a guy, swim him, win inside, get the sack, and then go from there. So good job of early pressure, because I think it affected the way that Herbert played the rest of the game. I don't think he was particularly comfortable standing in the pocket, and some of those throws he had down the field, probably were some of the pressure that the Cowboys were getting on him. Maybe he was feeling things there. Maybe he was seeing some ghost as well.
Sure, and Fowler, I think, got his arm on one when he was going to release the ball. The sack total's not there yet. Micah with the big one, but the pressure was relentless tonight by that Cowboy pass rush. 877-881-1053. Of course, the number to call, the number to text. We got our Cowboys insider, Bobby Belt, who'll be joining us. We're here for the voice of your Dallas Cowboys, Brad Sham. Of course, Coach McCarthy and Dak Prescott as well, as we rock with you until 1 a.m. into Tuesday morning following a Dallas Cowboys victory. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
ProStar Energy Solutions wrote the playbook for innovative energy solutions with the opening of AT&T.
Sleep Number. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Wild Wings. And by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It's Miller time.
2nd and 2. Herbert back.
Whoa.
Rush. Hit. Sack. Micah Parsons got it. Babe and I were just talking during the break, and I said, I've got 0 sacks for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, what a timely sack for the Lion, Micah Parsons, who adds another one to his total. But the pressures there, 4 pressures tonight for Micah as the pass rush relentless, despite not having the sack total, certainly affecting Justin Herbert and that Chargers offense. 20-17. Cowboys get the win. They're 4-2 now on the year, 2-2 away from AT&T Stadium as they now go into their bye week. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus here on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys, brought to you by WinStar World Casino and Resort, home to over 8,500 of your favorite electronic games, more than 1,000 table game seats, and 1,400 luxury hotel rooms. It's always a good time at WinStar World Casino and Resort, the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. We will get to your calls coming up momentarily, I promise. 877-881-1053. But we got to talk to our Cowboys insider, Bobby Belt, after this one. Bobby, a lot of talk coming in about these two offenses. Mike McCarthy going up against Kellen Moore, the former offensive coordinator. Both teams had their struggles at times, 2 for 4 in the red zone each side. But what'd you think? Did you notice any differences on this Cowboys offense tonight?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what's the line, Brian? Gonna have to go back and look at the tape. That's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to look at the tape.
I thought you could say this NFL's a strange lady.
Oh, well, there's that one too.
Ain't it a strange lady? How about those Browns and Jets yesterday?
Exactly. No, you will have to go back and look at the tape, but I can just tell by the way you can see Dak reading the field. First off, you can tell the concepts were a little different tonight because there just wasn't slant flats. It wasn't all stuff that you couldn't see the entire route combinations on the broadcast because you can typically do that with this Cowboys offense early on. You weren't seeing a lot of that. Dak's progressions, you could tell his eyes were downfield further through his progressions than they had been. And so I think that there were tweaks to the offense, which Jerry had talked about this week. Mike McCarthy had talked about this week, said that there were going to be tweaks. And I think that, whatever tweaks were made and whatever we see on tape, I think you need to push more of because Dak clearly looked more comfortable from the first snap, I thought, than he has all season.
I think, Bobby, maybe, too, that the way that the Chargers play their defense, too, with that cover 2 look, that Dak was probably looking down the field. Okay, where's my safety? Where's my route going in? Is it going towards that safety? This is a team that does it like last week. San Francisco played so much man coverage against you, and it just wasn't very clean, the looks, and maybe it wasn't quick enough. I don't know if the tweaks more thinking about maybe the way the Chargers play that two deep, that cover 2, and try and kind of funnel everything. Maybe he's looking to where that maybe that's why the progressions were the way they were.
Yeah,
because you're playing zone, so he's just reading the routes in the zone.
Yeah, that's possible. I definitely think though that they were running stuff that was. I mean, just in general, his targets were deeper downfield than we've seen more consistently this year. I think than what we saw in this game. And like I said, I think that typically you're seeing a lot of the route. I'd say that out of the 5 routes that are going out, the 4 to 5 routes that are going out on a given play, most of the year on his dropbacks, you see the entire route of 3 or 4 of the guys even on the broadcast because it's all quick stuff and it's all within that 10-yard zone that the camera is focused on. There was stuff that was going on deeper downfield. Dak was freelancing a lot more tonight. Now, I don't know. Is that a coaching thing or is that Dak just saying on a few different occasions, like, I'm going to do this? Now, obviously the one on the fourth down touchdown run, that was a design play. And, thank God he was able to hold on to the ball. There was that
it looked like there was at the mesh point, there was a little bit of
a rough
bobble.
exchange there for a sec, but he holds on. But outside of even that, just some of the freelance stuff, just the rolling out, extending the play on the toss to Pollard, where Pollard then takes it 60 yards. That's just Dak extending the play and working back. And that's where I think the West Coast system has hurt Dak a little bit early this year is because that's when he's at his best. The stuff that you see on like the Pollard play or some of these other things you see, and this whole system has been based on 3 steps out, 5 steps out, like bop, 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 here, go here, go here, go here. It's tight. It's very concise. It's on time. It's crisp. It's tight. And I don't think that when he's playing that way, that is when he is at his best. I think he's at his best when he's able to, play a little more free than that.
I always say it when he's muddied and bloodied.
Yeah.
That's when I think that when Dak Prescott feels the game, he's at his absolute best.
Yeah, and the legs. I mean, I think that we've been calling for it, right? Dak looks healthy. He looks comfortable moving around out there, and especially in the red zone, him using his legs was a big difference tonight. Leads the team in rushing with 40 yards. Then you guys mentioned the keeper there, which was a huge play, and it was beautiful to finally watch.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it was a credit to Mike McCarthy for deciding to go for it there and saying, you know what, let's go for the gusto here. Let's not just lay up at Augusta or whatever.
Yeah.
The old Jason Garrett line, of course. But I think that making that call, that was I give him kudos for that, and then the actual play call, and the Chargers were completely fooled on that play. Everybody bit on the the carry, and so Dak having the free lane. I got to say, I don't know that I ever thought I'd see him run 20 yards free without getting caught from behind again.
I think this all goes back to when we watched the games the previous weeks. Some of the red zone problems were pull the ball, Dak, pull the ball, Dak, pull the ball, and there was a couple of times where I felt like that, Dak could have had probably 3-4 rushing touchdowns going into this game if he would have just pulled the ball. But nice to see him do it the way the fake. Their team had been struggling. The Cowboys have been struggling. So many of their plays are these ones where they try and fool somebody to get the chase.
Yep.
Well, they got an edge to chase, and it ended up being a big play.
Yeah.
What about Brandon Cooks finally getting involved here, Bobby?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the, even though Jerry Jones said this week, like, I don't know that I need to see more touches for CeeDee Lamb. I may like to see the ball.
I don't think you could have gotten
CeeDee
CeeDee enough targets
Well,
tonight.
no, I don't disagree. But I think that for all of that, Jerry, the name he has consistently said he wants to see more involved is Brandon Cooks. He has brought that name up pretty consistently. That is somebody that I think they feel like, I think Mike McCarthy would say.
He's been open, Bobby, though. We've seen him open on routes.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing is that I think they feel like we're not taking advantage of a skill set that has, through 4 systems with 4 different quarterbacks, been plug and play 1,000 yards reliably for his entire career. Why can't we make it work? And even tonight, I mean, it was 4 for 36 or whatever it was. It wasn't gaudy statistics, but it was big catches. It was similar to the Giants game in week 1 where he didn't have a bunch of big statistics, but he had a couple big catches. He had the 2 penalties that he drew. This tonight was a couple big catches, and that one, the touchdown was a beautiful throw from Dak. By the way, beautiful blitz pickup by Pollard.
Once again,
absolutely.
yeah.
With
Pollard has
James.
become a really, really strong.
Was a liability probably 3 years ago, and now has awareness and toughness on that.
It was a thing where you were talking about how we can't keep him on the field. That's how poor he is at he'll get Dak killed. Yeah. Now he's in there like really saving Dak. Makes a huge block there. Beautiful throw from Dak. And just Cooks going up and securing it. That was a huge play. And you could tell just by the way Dak was pumped and the way Brandon Cooks, got up and celebrated. I think everybody felt a big relief of like, all right, we hit one. We hit on one. We're getting this connection right. And like I said, I think this was the most comfortable Dak's looked in the offense. Probably the most comfortable CD's looked in the offense. Brandon Cooks. This is something where outside of some protection issues, which I think there were a lot of tonight, I think that they were having their struggles there. Outside of protection issues, Dak didn't look frazzled at all. And even in the face of pressure, he still looked calm for the most part.
Bobby and Zach, I think what gives this Dallas Cowboys offensive line problems, and we'll see this, is this twist game. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see a lot more of teams when they rush the passer, just not try and rush the Cowboys one-on-one, but use movement. We're going to go back and watch this game, and I promise you the pressures that you're going to see are from movement with the defensive line and the twist stuff that gave these. They just don't pass it as clean as they need to. That just watching it, and seeing some of the highlights of some of the plays that they made, it looks like the pressures that they were able was big, massive moving of defensive linemen. And guys not getting in position to carry it.
Yeah, a lot of twists and those sorts of games. I do remember there was one specifically where Khalil Mack broke through Tyron.
Yeah.
And that was just a straight rush. And Khalil Mack didn't even finish the sack, but it drove Dak to the side.
Just
and then
so strong.
Tyler Smith had lost his rep by then, or didn't lose it. It's just there was only so much time he can block it up for, and then he got sacked. So that was one where I felt like that was just more a straight beat. But otherwise, yeah, it's a lot of these twists, a lot of these stunts. And teams are probably going to take advantage of that when you've got a guy like Tyler Broaddus right now who is clearly just
little
banged
overmatched
up.
and maybe and really banged up. Though,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, he needs this bye week.
I think a lot of guys need the bye week, but he's somebody who, since training camp, we talked about at the time when he got in a fight with somebody. I think it was Odigizua. No, it was Odigizua. He got in a fight with Sam
Williams.
Williams,
Right.
But he got in a fight with
chippy.
Odigizua, and he told him, he yelled at him. Everybody could hear it in the stands. He goes, "I'm blanking hurt."
Yeah.
And he's like, don't mess with me. I'm blanking hurt. And I think from that point, honestly, since the Tennessee game last year when he rolled his ankle at the end of the year, I don't know that he's been totally healthy in a game that he's played in.
Final thing for you, Bob. We were very critical of Dan Quinn last week. Of course, it wasn't a good game for the defense. How do you think they bounced back tonight?
Much better. Like when we talk about star up, star down, I think you have star up, star down, and then I think you have star up and star down, guys who get both. And I think that was your corners tonight. Like I think Gilmore and Bland both had some bad moments where, Bland got beat on a couple double moves. It didn't hurt them because Justin Herbert overthrew them, but got beat on a couple double moves. Gilmore got picked on a little bit. But then you have Bland like making the huge fourth down stop, had a couple big plays in there. Gilmore comes up with the interception. So there's some good and there's some bad there. Marquise Bell was obviously really, really impressive in this game, and you needed him to step up, not just with Leighton Vander Esch out, but also Wanye Thomas.
Osa
Digizua was
good tonight.
Was really, really good. He's been, I don't know, I think that he has been, it's probably
other
the
than
running
Micah, he's been the most consistent player. Maybe.
See, I think Micah's been the most dominant. I think the most consistent has been Odigizua.
All right,
but it's
game in, game out.
Because Micah's had a couple. Micah's been dominant, but Micah's also had some moments over
the
last
game
couple
last
games.
week, certainly.
Yeah, and I think Odigizua has consistently been the same guy every week.
This could have been a 2-interception game for Bland.
Could have been.
He had two. He has hands. Bland's not going to miss balls like that, and it's unfortunate that he did. Because that one, I think, maybe might have been a pick six. The one in the middle of the field.
Second one.
Yeah, the second one could have gone all the way back.
Absolutely. Bob, you're the best, man. We love you.
I love you all.
There he goes. Bobby Belcher, Cowboys insider. Cowboys get the win, 20-17. Right now, let's pause 10 seconds to allow stations to identify themselves across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
You're turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan. Hello, baby. KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Cowboys improved to 4-2 on the season, 20-17. They get the win over the Chargers. We'll hear from Brad Sham, Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy. Your calls and texts. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
RJ Chiappi here, Fire Friends at #1 Air, proud part of the Dallas Cowboys. Do not miss the Super Summer Savings Special. Up to $3,000 off a new heated and AC system. Payments as low as $79 a month. They never charge overtime, not on weekends, not on holidays, not for after hours. Up to $3,000 off a new heated and AC system. Payments as low as $79 a month. 1-800-NEW-COOL. 1-800-NEW-COOLER. @#1air.com.
Some restrictions apply. Enroll for free today at AA.com. American Airlines, you are why we fly. Terms and conditions apply.
And now it's 4th and 1 at the Dallas 7. And he rolls out to his right, looks back to his left, throws it in the end zone, and knocked down by DaRon Bland, running all the way across the end zone and knocking down the pass intended for Palmer, and the Chargers turn it over on downs. Still 10-7 Dallas.
Big time play from DaRon Bland with a crucial 4th down pass breakup. Almost had a chance at interception there. Had a chance at 2.
He had his hands on that one. I thought he was going to come down with it.
Man,
he's got such good ball skills.
He does.
It's a shame that he didn't have it, because he could have had a 2 interception night. It wasn't easy for these the Cowboys secondary tonight. With the routes that were run down in the red zone with Hooker and then
the one to Gerald Everett.
The one
Hooker's
to
got to
Everett,
fight through people. And the Keenan Allen one with Jordan Lewis having to go across.
Joshua Palmer, it looked like he was playing at Tennessee again, the way he was making plays tonight. So, tip of the cap to the Chargers, and the way that they were. It was a rough night. With Gilmore had the interception, but I'm going to say this about Gilmore. I do worry about his ability to catch up. We've seen routes now that are broken inside, and he is either going to be a step late or he's going to play in trail position. So he made a nice play at the very end. It was good pressure. But, man, I worry about these routes now that people will start just running on him and then making him have to chase, because he doesn't look as quick as he once was.
Cowboys get the win 20-17. Zach Wolchuk along with the Super Bowl champion former scout Bryan Broaddus. Let's get to the phones. Brought to you by the National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org and AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go to our guy, Big Jim in Round Rock. What's going on, Big Jim?
Well, Wolchuk, Broaddus, I tell you, I didn't really feel this one going into it. I was worried about these guys, but man, I tell you, I thought they showed up and made plays where they had to make plays. I'm a little disturbed about the running game, fellas. There was a couple plays where I saw the defensive lineman just blowing through. There's one play where some guy blew through Zach Martin and got Tony Pollard on the backside, and man, they got to get something cleaned up. There's just they're not functioning like a unit out there, and that down the stretch we're gonna have to be able to run that football. And I don't know, Broaddus, I'll be interested in hearing you talk after you watch the All 22 tomorrow. But no, it was ugly. I had to go take some high blood pressure medicine during the end of the game. I was getting away from me. My ears started turning red. So. But, man, it's a win. It wasn't one I was really expecting. I know a lot of you guys were not really feeling it either, Broaddus. I know you didn't have the Cowboys winning. No, you did.
I did. Yeah, and I had the guy kicking the game-winning field goal too.
That's right. Hey, fellas, how thankful are you?
Yeah.
That we got us a kicker.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Out in the red zone. We got us a kicker who can kick the ball. So listen, I love you boys, and we'll get together one of these days. And appreciate all the hard work, and I'll be staying up with you, listening to you tonight.
Thank you, Big Jim. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, I went 24-23. Brian, you went 27-24 with Aubrey's leg being the game winner, and ultimately 20-17. He did it for us.
There you go. I will say this, though, about the running game, and he's absolutely right. I know people hate when you say, oh, we got to watch tape, but that's the way you learn. And that's the way. I mean, the TV copy, I'm not at the game. I'm trying to see what's going on. I think Mike has to look about where the plan of attack is, where you're trying to run the ball. You're trying to run the ball inside with Pollard. I was talking to a buddy of mine with the Giants tonight. Matter of fact, he sent me a text, and he goes, damn, this reminds me of your offense reminds me of Ben McAdoo's offense in this 2017 and 2018. When they just weren't he goes, where's the creativity that you had with Pollard? That was something that I think that if you're just going to run him inside between the tackles, that's probably not the best thing to do. But the offensive line is, they've got to do a better job. Ferguson did a really good job on the toss. the one time. Remember the toss that they ran to the left when Pollard's better run?
Oh, Ferguson had a great block. And
yeah,
that's the type of things we need to see more of.
Yeah.
The creative outside perimeter runs for TP. They're trying to do a lot of this. They're pulling people,
right. Yeah.
and it's just a bunch inside. There's no room to run.
No room at all. So we'll study up, see what we got. And, it's one of those things where you kind of like, you know there's an issue, and you just got to figure out what that issue is. The 5 guys up front are the best 5 guys you got, and that's what you got to go to battle with, and hopefully they'll find ways to get it going the right way.
All right, let's go to our guy Jerry in New Mexico. Jerry, on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, guys. I think the reason that we won tonight was because we had the better quarterback tonight.
Yeah, he played well. He really, really did. And, he made the plays he absolutely had to make. There were some key third downs that they were able to make. There was the one third down. Was it 3rd and 19? They got a penalty. We got
that was huge.
The defensive holding. The defensive holding penalty. That was crazy. That that's very Cowboy-esque right there.
It sure was.
Get off the field and then have a penalty like that. But to your point, the quarterback he did a good job. The pocket throws he had to make, the balls he threw where they needed to be on 3rd down. There wasn't anything where, the receivers were really, really struggling.
The touchdown pass to Brandon Cooks was beautiful.
Right there where it needed to be. He did what he had to do tonight. And that's, that Dak Prescott's probably going to have to do more of that this season. There are going to be some games where the line might not be as clean as it, the protection might not be as clean. And Lord knows if they're going to get the running game going. But it's one of the things. Dak Prescott, being the quarterback, knows he has to make plays. And he made quite a few of them tonight.
All right, Greg in Cedar Creek. Greg, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. I hate to sound ungrateful for a win, and I definitely don't want to take anything away from Marquise Bell and Lamb and Cooks and all that stuff. But man, a lot of that stuff tonight was pitiful looking. It just didn't look like they were, like the caller before said. It didn't seem like they were, really in sync, and it hasn't seemed like they're in sync offensively, especially all season long.
Any specific area you want to try and address?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that part of it is Dak's, his short throw accuracy and stuff like that, putting it on a receiver in the right spot to be able to make that offense work like it needs to. I don't really see that with Dak. It's not his strong suit. You guys already touched on it. The offensive line's been shaky. The secondary on the defense has been shaky. I just think that we ran into a team tonight that let us off the hook.
Okay.
And I really don't see us getting after San Francisco playing like that. Maybe getting on the bye week, they'll get some things figured out. But if they're wore out 6 games in this season, you got a lot more after that bye week. So I don't know, man. I don't see it this year.
Okay.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate
Probably
the call.
A lot of people feel that way too.
Yeah. I mean, look, it was certainly tons of penalties. The running game was not where you wanted it to be.
No.
And
I'll tell you what my biggest reasoning for a lot of this, and I can't account for the defensive stuff, but maybe I will in a second if I think about it. I think they had too many things go. I said this in the offseason. This is one of my biggest concerns. I worried about the high turnover with the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
I worried about the offensive line coach changing, the running back coach, the quarterback coach, the offensive coordinator, the play caller. I worried about all those things. They're 4-2, kind of felt like they might be 3-3. The Arizona loss is a terrible loss now when you look back on it.
Yep.
But I felt like that, that it was going to take some time and that maybe they could kind of correct things. Defensively, I think losing Diggs really hurts this team because what's happened is Bland's having to play on the outside and it's bringing Jordan Lewis inside in the slot.
Yeah.
And I don't think Jordan Lewis, if you put Bland in the slot and have Diggs, Bland, and Gilmore. Now, Gilmore might be a guy you need to keep an eye on because he's a veteran player. The longer he goes, is he going to get wore down? Having to run all these coverages that he's having to play. And I worry about that a little bit. The safety play has not been good at all. It just hasn't. Now, Kearse had a better, just watching TV copy today, looked like Kearse played a little bit better. Wilson played a little bit better in some of the coverage stuff. But up until this point, they really had not been very good at safety. That safety game has not been very good.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a concern right there where we thought maybe that this was the strength of this defense potentially was that safety group. But it hasn't been as good as it once was.
Yeah, and very inconsistent play from Malik Hooker usually as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times where he's shown the range. Today, there were a couple of plays where, man, what angle were you taking there? Some missed tackles early in the game as well. Certainly some areas to clean up, but, man, you needed this win badly. They really, really did after what happened last week going into the bye. If you had have dropped this game, psychologically, this would have been a very, very difficult 2 weeks. So you go on the road, you beat a team. Maybe some do feel like, hey, you got bailed out at times, 100%. You know, the Chargers left plays on the field, no doubt. But, hey, the Cowboys were able to withstand a lot of self-inflicted wounds as well, and you win a game when you're not playing your best.
A lot of bad penalties, though, man. There's some bad defensively, the penalties, that's...
It's exactly what you talked about that would keep you from being that next step as a defense.
Right.
You know, those third and long penalties, now you get an illegal contact downfield and you're extending a drive.
Yeah. It was tough. It was some tough things to watch there for sure. But they've got to get better in that secondary.
Yeah.
They really, really do.
Agree. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. We will be taking your calls and texts all night long. We'll hear from the voice of your Dallas Cowboys, Brad Sham. Coach McCarthy, though, next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
A true Dallas Cowboys fan is there for the journey and the destination. This is the season to make your journey count by flying through McAllen International Airport, the South Texas airport of the Dallas Cowboys. Whether you're flying down for McAllen's award-winning fall and holiday festivals, or you're a South Texas fan flying up to cheer the Cowboys on, make your journey as satisfying as your destination at the South Texas airport of the Dallas Cowboys. McAllen International Airport, above, beyond.
Oh, he faked me out. What a great fake, and an 18-yard run up the middle by Dak Prescott. Wow, what a great fake.
It really was. Dak leading the team to a 20-17 win, the longest touchdown run of his career there for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus here as the postgame show rolls on. And let's head back out to L.A. and joining us, the great voice of your Cowboys, Mr. Brad Sham. Brad, what were some of your thoughts and takeaways from this victory here tonight?
You know, Zach, many years ago when Danny White was still playing, after a game that I think they won, but it didn't have a lot to recommend it, and he said to me, you know, of all the games I've ever played, that was one.
That's a good
and that's how I feel about it. I mean, they did the things they had to do to win. They did so much wrong. It was sad. I don't know that they have their offense yet, but they do have Brandon Cooks. I'm glad they found him. So, I mean, I think clearly the offense was better. There are some head scratchers, and, you know, you're not going to win many games and you go an entire quarter and have the ball for a minute and a half, but that was their third quarter. And then their fourth quarter, they just flipped that whole script. So they made the plays they had to make. That's good. That's the sign of a competitive team. I don't know how good they are, but I do know that they're 4-2 is better than 3-3, and so I'm a big believer in giving credit for a team that does what it has to do to win the game.
Brad, I felt like tonight, if they would have thrown the ball to CeeDee Lamb 20 times, he would have had 20 catches. Every time the ball was thrown his direction, he did have a catch. Just getting him the ball, I think, is a great deodorant for any stink that the offense might have.
Well, I think that, yeah, of course that's right, Brian. And there were times that he was doubled, and so it didn't make a lot of sense. But
yeah,
but I think that it's not the opposite of that statement. That anytime you go to him, it's a good thing, and good things can happen. When he's ignored in the offense, you have to wonder why. You have to wonder what's going on. And he is, I still think, their biggest playmaker. Pollard obviously has the capability of doing the same thing. Thank you. And, and then Brandon Cooks. I mean, they found him. Look at me, Ma.
Yeah.
I can do some stuff too. And so what they do with Lamb, I think they can do with Cooks. And then if they do that on a regular basis, I think, Brian, I don't know what you think, because we haven't had this conversation, but Michael Gallup's not playing well.
No, not at all.
I think you got to be getting close to the time when you wonder if you give Jason Tolbert some more snaps. You got a third wide receiver functioning well. You got a tight end or two who can catch the ball, and now you've got a versatile offense, and you can kind of see what the defense is giving you and take that. I don't know that that's where they are yet, but I do know this. That you're 100% right. If they do not involve CeeDee Lamb, then that's just insanity.
Defensively, we weren't sure what they would look like at linebacker with LVE. Marquise Bell steps in really, really good. What'd you think overall with how the defense played in those linebackers?
Yeah, you really need to see the tape to see how they handled the running game. I think maybe they handled it okay. Look, let's be real candid here. And I just ran into Doug Nussmeier, who was the Cowboys quarterback coach, and now he's the Chargers quarterback coach. And I said, your boy Herbert, he's just not right. And he said, no, he's banged up. And you could see it all night. So the Cowboys were fortunate. Let's just be candid.
They were.
The Cowboys were fortunate that one of the most electric quarterbacks in the game was playing physically hampered. And now you don't throw it back. That's part of the deal. But defensively, I want to look at the tape. There's no doubt that Marquise Bell made a number of big plays in this game tonight. Whether you can count on him, I'm interested to see in 2 weeks how much Rashaan Evans gets involved. He's bigger and a good tackler, and so we'll see. But I thought Bell did extremely well in the role he was given to play.
Brad, do you think that was what when Jerry Jones was talking with Christie, and the questions that you were able to ask Mike McCarthy, the pregame, that maybe that Bell was the wild card that they were going to play tonight? That was the different little bit look that they were going to give?
I don't know that that's a different look, though, Brian. He's been really almost since the time that DeMarvion Overshown was hurt.
Right. I know he's been playing, but he seemed to play more tonight than some of the other opportunities.
It's entirely possible, and it would make sense, without Van Der Esch.
Right.
But I know that he's played more linebacker than safety. When you watch practice, the limited parts of practice we're able to see, I don't see him working with the safety groups anymore. He works with the linebackers.
Right.
So they have this, Marquise Bell, J-Ron Curse, Mukwamu sometimes. It'll be Overshown in the future. The guys who are safeties and also linebackers, and they're not traditional linebackers. I think it's quite possible we saw more of Bell do that tonight. We'll count up the plays when we go back and look at the tape, but for sure, Bell played very well.
Anything else before we let you go, Brad?
I'm really glad to be done with flights that are going to get me home at 4 a.m.
Yes. All right, Brad, thank you so much. Hey,
right,
fly
fellas,
home safe. Fly home safe on that long flight.
All right. Have a great night.
There he goes, the voice of your Dallas Cowboys, the great Brad Sham with us here, 20-17. The Cowboys get the win. Good point there about Rashaan Evans. You get him back after the bye. Cowboys just signed him this past week. Former first-round pick of the Tennessee Titans. Was the leading tackler last year for the Atlanta Falcons. Very productive player, and I'm sure somebody else that will be involved in that linebacker rotation. Already gotten some text about Rashaan Evans as well. Brad, brought to you by AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys and blockchain. Trust the team at blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder with blockchain.com. All right, Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy taking the podium following this Cowboys 20-17 road win to improve to 4-2 heading into the bye. Here's what Coach had to say.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Just your thoughts on the offense. Like you had some nice plays, at other times a little chunky at times.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, we have a lot of respect for the pass rush. We had some things inside that we didn't get going as well as we liked. But it's. We're getting there. I think the action game. They threw a lot of defense at us tonight. I mean, I think this is, as you play, a team that's coming out of the bye week. That's to be expected. I thought our guys handled it. We saw a lot of pressure there in the first half. Empty pressure. Man. On top of the things he normally plays. So, but yeah, it's it's a good win, good road win. We've had 4 in a row out of 6 games. We split. We're 4-2. We're at the bye. It's been a little bit. It's been a roller coaster ride as far as how we've performed in our productivity in 6 weeks. So we get a chance to reset, reboot. Hopefully, we come out of the game relatively healthy and get back at it for the Rams. But continuity and consistency is at the forefront of everything we've been focused on, and not to be negative Nelly after a win, but the pre-snap penalties it's a reoccurring issue on the road. The 4 road games that they've all been a problem. So we have to get better there. We have to resolve that because it's holding us back. And the competitive penalties you got to work through and coach through and teach through and keep working.
Ed Werder, ESPN. Dak used his legs a lot today. The 18-yard touchdown run on 4th down. I think he finished with 7 rushes and 40 yards, both season highs. Why was that such a big part of your offense today? Well,
I think if you just look at the design of their defense, I mean, their edge rushers are extremely wide. So they're going into it and how some of the things we wanted to do inside was to focus on trying to keep those B gaps open. He did a good job of taking that, trusting his feet, coming out of there, extending plays. I thought he played extremely well above the 2.3 second mark, and it was obviously needed. So, but that's part of the issue. He played a 3-4, the wide rushers, and this is probably as wide as we've seen all year. So, it limits you to do some things to get him out on the edge. So stepping up, up and out, I thought he did a really nice job of that tonight.
Hey, Coach. Nick Hamilton, Nightcast Media. Can you talk a little bit about just your defense, especially that last 2 minutes with those big plays by Michael Parsons as well as
yeah, definitely. I mean, that's how we feel we're built for those moments. Our pass rush and big time players make big plays. Important part of these type of games. So, that's hopefully we're in that position every week. Where our pass rush is put up to the forefront of the challenge.
Joe Hoyt, Lone Star Live. Brandon Cooks talked this week about patience and trust in the process. 4 catches, a touchdown tonight. What have you seen from him just in terms of being patient and then taking advantage of the opportunity tonight?
Brandon's the ultimate pro. He's the same man every day. He's a joy to work with. Extremely coachable. Has vast volume of experience. Has been in different systems. He's excellent to the young players, so it doesn't surprise me that he's made that statement, because that's the way he comes to work every day. He's very, very consistent, and frankly, it's a lead that we need to follow, because we need to be more consistent and we got to get our continuity. That's a focus for us moving forward.
Tyler Dragon, USA Today. How would you assess your offensive performance coming off of last week's bad loss into today to rally back like that?
We did enough to win. There's some things we did very well. Every game's different. We played this was a whole different challenge today. But I thought we played well enough to win.
Marquise Bell filling in for Leighton. Just talk about him and the job he did tonight.
Yeah, great job. I think clearly you're getting to see what we see every day. You look at a young man that came up through special teams, but super competitive. Is natural in there, particularly in the subgroups. But I just love his tenacity and confidence for a young player. So I thought he did a nice job.
Mike McCarthy, after a 20-17 road win over the Chargers, certainly the pre-snap penalties, he made a point of they do need to get that cleaned up. They do, no question about it. And offensively, did enough to win tonight. I think Dak freelancing were some of your best moments of the game. He was playing free. And I think you did see the running game is certainly something they need to work on during the bye. The running game has been relatively non-existent. Mike McCarthy talked all offseason about how he wants to run the football.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to work on the running game because the way the collective bargaining thing is.
Oh, with the padded practices, and
they're going to practice one time. They might have a walkthrough practice, and then they will basically have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. They're not going to have any practices this week. So when you want to talk about, well, what are you going to do? How do you, if they're going to make any running game adjustments, it's going to have to be the coaches sitting down and scheming it in a way that are, and you've got 20 some odd coaches on your staff. You've got assistants to the assistants. And maybe the assistant guy who at one time when I was in Philadelphia was a guy named Sean Payton, who was the lowest coach you could be on the staff. But you have him starting to look at different schemes, and maybe there's something you could pick up. Maybe in the first 6 weeks of the season, you could say, okay, who are the teams that are running the ball well? Is there something that we can steal? The pin and pulls that we've seen like it.
Saw Cleveland do it yesterday very effectively against San Francisco.
There you go. I mean, stuff like that. If you could pull one or two things, and a lot of it has to do with maybe who you're playing against, who's your competitors, are, then that kind of maybe will dictate a little bit different of what you need
Miami,
to do.
who's been running the football really well. You play them later on in the season.
Detroit.
Detroit's a great example.
These young coaches need to be looking at these teams, and I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're trying to get ideas about, okay, we're not running the ball very well, and why are we not running it? Is it scheme? Is it personnel? Is it, there's a lot of things that could go into that, but they do need to run the ball better. I know some of our callers have called in and basically, said that, and I totally agree with them. And this is what the off week's for. It's not going to be in practice though, because the collective bargaining agreement is not going to let them practice.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. We'll still hear from Dak Prescott. More of your calls as well. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Hi, Drew Pearson, former Dallas Cowboy and now Pro Football Hall of Famer here.
Jones, an interactive experience feature, and even play on the field. Visit attstadium.com/rally days for tickets and more information.
Dowdle on Prescott's right on third down. Snap is back, fakes to Dowdle, pressured from behind, runs out to his right, throws on the run, got him on the sideline. C.D. Lamb on a crosser at the 30.
Dak Prescott perfect today when throwing to Brandon Cooks and to C.D. Lamb. 7 targets, 7 catches for C.D. Brandon Cooks, 4 targets, 4 catches, along with a touchdown reception, his first as a Dallas Cowboy, as the Cowboys get the win over the Chargers, 20-17. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus. Another turnover-free game, I might add, from Dak Prescott. Cowboys have played 6 games, 4 of them now. Dak is turnover-free, all 4 of those wins in what was probably, in my opinion, maybe the most overblown offseason storyline from what was clearly an outlier type of season with the amount of interceptions that Dak threw last year.
Yeah, I've come to the realization we're the ones where he doesn't see guys.
Yeah.
That's the one. Everything else tends to be probably things that they're dealing with, whether routes, tip balls, really good defensive plays. The ones where he throws them and he's fooled, those are the ones that should concern you. And I thought tonight he did a really good job of seeing the field and being able to. There was a couple of times where I think he went through the progressions and held the ball. We're going to some of those sacks where maybe you're going to be like going, gosh, dang, he had that guy open. And maybe
Ferguson.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't see that guy going up the slot. But overall, it was, I think it was a pretty good game of him going through his progressions and finding the guy that was open.
Yep, absolutely. All right, 877-881-1053. We'll hear from your quarterback, Dak Prescott, momentarily, but let's head back out to the phones. Let's go to Big Surge in Ennis. Big Surge, what's going on, man? You're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
What up? What's going on?
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. What's going on? Wolchuk, it's Big Surge, Big Twolo.
Love you, man.
Shout out Bobby. We love Bobby, of course. I love his taste, and we love his opinions all the way along his Broaddus, love of the star.
Thank you.
And I love that creativity with that 4th down. Dak finally using his legs.
Mm-hmm.
We getting CD getting involved. Mike is showing up at the end. Bland missed that pick 6. I agree with Broaddus. Gilmore finishing off. KNC made us try and choose which Dallas team is going to win today. We got blessed with both, baby. Let's go. We got Rangers with the dub. We got Evo, Hot Bat. Thursday coming up, baby. Let's go.
Appreciate the call, Big Surge. Yep, big time day for the DFW Metroplex, certainly, and KNC referring to our midday show, 10 to 2 on the flagship 105.3 The Fan. All right, we got Tony out in Atlanta. Tony, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, I'm good, fellas. How y'all?
Man, we're good.
Tony, you need to do something about that airport you live in, bro.
Busiest airport in the world,
It
man.
is.
Bro, it's the worst. It's the worst airport in the world. You guys are the nicest people in the world. Have the worst airport in the world.
Man, I saw you in town over the weekend, man.
I
wish
was.
I could have hooked up with you.
I was, man. I was out there car racing there, and I was just up the road car racing at the Michelin Raceway up there. It was nice.
Oh, yeah.
I do enjoy being in Georgia. It's one of my favorite places. It's a beautiful state, but you do have the worst airport in the league. I'm just saying that right now.
You could fly into maybe 2 hours away and then just drive down. It'll make it a lot easier on you.
Man, I'll tell you what, that thing is a nightmare. All those trains you make me get on and try and find. There was not a rent-a-car to be had in that town. You guys got the busiest airport in the world, and you got no cars. No cars.
Yeah, it could be a mess, man. It could be a mess.
What's on your mind tonight, man?
So just really, it's a good win on the road, against what I think is a good football team. So really proud of the guys, especially after what happened last week, bouncing back from that. That really showed some grit on both sides, all 3 phases. They had their issues, but they got the win. That's the main thing. I do a couple observations though. Never would have expected to see, I hate to be that guy and
talk about Tony Pollard getting run down. I mean, he's been in the league 5 years, and I've never seen that.
Yeah, no, you're not being that guy. Brian and I said the same exact thing watching it. Tony Pollard, I think pre-injury, that's a house call.
Yeah, he's not as quick as he was.
I've never seen him get run down. So that was just, kind of gave that the side eye, but it's a great play. And then I got to give an apology. I got to apologize to Dak because I didn't think Dak had that running game in him anymore. I've heard people call for it for the last 2 years, and I'm like, he doesn't have it. Why are we calling for it? But I apologize. I was wrong because he had it. I mean, on that 18-yard touchdown, Derwin James couldn't catch him. I mean, he's supposed to be a great athlete. So got to apologize to him. I was glad to see it, and hopefully we get to see it some more, and he made plays with his feet, giving himself more time to make, great plays, especially that one to Pollard. So got to give it up to him.
I appreciate the call, Tony. Absolutely. And I like the honesty there from our guy. I mean, when things go wrong, we will absolutely criticize whoever it is, especially the quarterback. He's going to get that. But Dak was pretty darn good tonight, and it was great to see him now using his legs effectively again.
Yeah, but it should have been done 2-3 weeks ago, though.
I agree.
I mean,
we've been calling for it.
You watch, we come back, we do Krusty's Corner on our flagship station here, 105.3 The Fan, and I talk about, hey, this is what I saw in the All-22, and if he'd have pulled the ball, and it seemed like every week I was saying if he'd have pulled the ball, and he finally pulls the ball, and so hopefully that leads to more things with Dak running the ball like that.
I agree with you. All right, we'll get back to the phones, 877-881-1053. That opens up a few lines. We'll hear from the quarterback, your Cowboys, though. Postgame show brought to you by Blockchain. You don't need a complicated play to bring it into the end zone. That's why you should trust the team at Blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder with Blockchain.com. 20-17 Cowboys improved to 4-2 heading into their bye. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America.
Second and goal at the 2. Good block in the backfield. Prescott left side of the end zone. Brandon Cooks caught it. Touchdown. Cooks calling everybody over to help with the celebration. That's the first Dallas Cowboys touchdown for Brandon Cooks.
Drive of the game brought to you by Ford, your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Great drive, 8 plays, 75 yards, 4:49 off the clock. Cowboys went up 17-10 with 11:19 left to play in the fourth quarter as Dak Prescott threw a gorgeous ball with beautiful touch to Brandon Cooks for his first touchdown as a Dallas Cowboy. You love to see it. Brandon Cooks with that. In the fourth quarter, it was the 50th touchdown of his career. He now has a receiving touchdown with 5 different teams, the 18th player in NFL history with a receiving touchdown with 5 different teams. Congrats to the Archer, Brandon Cooks, for that one, who I did call BK during the game because you can have it your way, buddy.
You can have it your way.
And I also had a brain fart and just went BK instead of BC. I went Cooks with a K instead of Cooks with a C. And Bobby Belt's probably going to make fun of me for that for the rest of my life.
Bobby should be asleep right now.
But it happens, And now I'm going to call him BK for the rest of the season because he's having it his way, baby.
Having it his way. It is good to see him. But you know what? We've seen games where he has run routes really well and they haven't got him the ball.
Yeah.
Or they haven't, I mentioned the Schoonmaker drop on the cover 2 in the New England game.
Mm-hmm.
Cooks was wide open on the side. I mean,
He's had opportunities.
He just keeps. Mike McCarthy said it best. He's a pro's pro. He runs routes really, really hard. He does his best to get open. There's some times where you just don't get him the ball as quickly as you need to, and they'll figure that out. They've got to take this week off and kind of figure out some things they want to come back to. Hopefully, some of the self-scout stuff they've done will make it. Will give them some better opportunities to make some plays going forward.
Dak Prescott, your leading rusher, 40 yards and that 18-yard touchdown. Also threw for 272 and a touchdown as well. Afterwards, Dak Prescott catching up with the media.
All right, so we'll start Telegram. Let's talk about the week and what this win means for y'all.
It was big. Obviously, just coming off of the performance last week, just wanted to respond. This game couldn't, I bet if you asked anybody in the locker room, this game couldn't come fast enough. I just want to get that taste out of your mouth and move forward. That's what our message is really were this week, but just about moving forward. Learning from what happened in the past, but putting forward our best effort. And it was a great team. We went out there and we played. We knew it going into this. Very explosive, fundamental on all aspects. And huge win, especially going into the bye week forward to everything in front of us.
Dak Toddart with ESPN. Resilience was your team's theme last year. How much do you think you guys showed that today?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what today was, in that sense of, especially after following last week and getting down early in the game, feeling some adversity, but guys, everybody responding, just buckling up, trusting everything that we've preached, everything that we've put into this, trusting our brotherhood, and then fighting to the end. I mean, I got to make that throw to get the touchdown right there at the end, and I'm on the sideline pissed off about that and look up and hear our defense does, makes a play, and that's what it's about, having each other's back, and so thankful.
John Machado, The Athletic. With you using your legs today, is that just how the game unfolded, or is that part of the plan going in?
I'd say it's how the game unfolded. A little bit of maybe a conscious effort by myself, just coming off of last week, realizing that maybe that's something I could use, we could use in this sense. And then obviously, I mean, those guys had some great coverage at the beginning of the play, and Mike always is preaching about the 2.3, and guys did a great job of coming open after it, staying alive, offensive line, keeping their bodies on someone, giving me a chance to get out in different lanes, and so kind of how it played, but I think it's something that can benefit us.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. 60-yard reception to Pollard, was that an example of your night overall offensively, like you about to get sacked and then somehow you get a pass off to Tony and it makes the big play?
Yeah, I don't know if I was about to get sacked there or I just moved. I don't think anybody touched me. but was I?
I think you got out of a
I broke a tackle there?
Yeah, you spun out of it.
Yeah, sure. Or I just turned right and came back left. It happens fast. It happens.
All right, Michael Vick.
No, I ain't that fast. React, just playing and reacting, I guess. But yeah, in a sense, I mean, as I just said, that's a resilient play then, honestly, especially if I, you know what I mean, got out of a tackle there. And Tony doing a great job of getting open, finding the window. As I got out, I saw, some grass in front of me to potentially run, but always just trying to keep my eyes downfield, look back, looking for a tight end or receiver coming across, and here comes Tony out of the backfield and threw it to him, and then he went and got a lot more than the play that I made. So almost scored. I guarantee if he realizes there's a guy to the right that he does score. But huge play, big play in the game.
And one more. What do you think was working so much with Cooks and Lamb tonight?
One more time. What was working so much?
Why do you think it was working so well with those two guys?
Yeah, I mean, that was part of the plan. You talk about what was part of the plan going into this game, knowing that we'd get some matchups with those guys, understanding how they were going to play CD, clouding his side, when they were going to, giving Cooks outside some one-on-ones, and we took advantage of them. Cooks did a great job, and tonight was due. Tonight it was due up, and just the player that he's been, the person that he's been, everything that he brings to this team, getting the touchdown, big third down catches, plays that he made all over the field, and he was due for a night like this. Happy for him, and it'll only grow from here.
Yeah. Dak, the 4th and 1, 18-yard touchdown run, your longest touchdown run of your career. Where did that play come from?
Yeah, I mean, just off of a run play, we've been running a good little bit. Had CD in motion as an option. Defensive end took TP. The two other guys ran towards CD. Just allowed me to cut upfield, and great play call, honestly. Great play call. They're going all out. Wasn't necessarily sound on their end. Somebody's got to have the quarterback, but not showing my legs early in the year, not running, I think played a part in that, and so I'm just able to go get it.
Dak Prescott there speaking to the media after a 20-17 win. We'll get reaction to that, but right now let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
You're turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Tolo, baby.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Cowboys improved to 4-2 heading into the bye with that 20-17 win on the road against the Chargers. Dak there talking about the run. Just what we were talking about there, Brian. We've seen it on tape. There's been opportunities there. If he wants to pull it, he can probably walk in for the touchdown. He said, hey, maybe not using my legs, open that one up. Hopefully now it opens both up. Right now teams have to account for the potential of Dak using his legs, and maybe it opens his mind up to doing it more often.
Yeah, Ed Werder asked the question, and, if you really kind of fallen along the Cowboys through the first 6 games of the season, there's probably been 2-3 times where Dak pulls it, walks in, and, maybe we think about this red zone offense a little differently. It's something they've had in the book. It's just that Dak has felt like that he needed to hand the ball off inside instead of pull it. But you're right. It now makes defenders, have to play him, and maybe it gives Tony Pollard a little bit better, or whoever carries the ball, a little bit better of a gap or an opportunity if those outside, if the edge and the linebacker are all flying to the outside to get Dak.
Dak Prescott, the only incompletions he had, of course, he had the one to Tony Pollard, but otherwise they were all to Michael Gallup. Yeah. Michael Gallup targeted 10 times, only caught 3 balls. As I mentioned, he was perfect throwing to Lamb and to Cooks, and then, of course, just one catch, one target to Jake Ferguson. I'm surprised Fergie didn't get more involved in this one. He's been a favorite target as well, but MG, I don't know. I mean, as you always say, and you allude to it, like we'll go back, we'll study, we'll revisit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was, hey, we want to get MG involved, let's force the ball to him. It did feel like on a couple of those slants, Dak was kind of staring him down, and that's the read that I want to hit. Even if it was covered, I want to go to Michael Gallup here. But it was interesting listening to Brad earlier. Michael Gallup just isn't playing well right now, and we've been kind of waiting for him to work out of it.
No, he's not. And I've said this before, and it happened before they got him going really the last 2 games where I felt like with New England and San Francisco, I mean, there were some games where he he made some receptions, and you're kind of like, okay, maybe things are getting back on track for him. The thought that I had, I wondered if he was a square peg in a square peg in a round hole, kind of a player, and maybe that this scheme, this quick passing, these types of routes that you have to run in this scheme weren't the best suited for him. But it seems like really the only plays that he makes are slants, and you just kind of wonder if he's lost some confidence in his ability to make some plays or make those big plays. He's had a couple of games where he's had some success, but it just seems like if you go through his history, there'll be games where he has 5-6 catches, a couple of weeks, and then he'll go 4 weeks where he didn't have a catch.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope we're not getting to that point now.
No, I hope not either. And Jalen Tolbert, who has really been good on special teams. We had the one play tonight where he's thinking
he had no choice. I mean,
it's a tough play.
He gets knocked down and he doesn't know the situation, and he's thinking the ball has been touched.
Hit Turpin.
Yeah, he's driven into Turpin. By the way, probably should have been called hands to the face. With him getting driven back like that. They called every other damn penalty known to man tonight. We talked about this Land Clark's crew and what they do, the unnecessary roughness penalties, a couple of those tonight. That's a big call for those guys. But yeah, he's trying to make a play. It's we'll see. We'll see if I just like to see him get Cooks more involved if that's the case. I see what you're saying about Tolbert and all.
I'm 100% in favor of getting Brandon Cooks more involved. It's been one of my biggest gripes the first 5-6 weeks.
I am okay with Tolbert. Let him concentrate on the special team stuff he has to do. But if you told me that I could just get Lamb going, Cooks going, and Ferguson going, and somehow, some way get the running game going to where the offensive line is actually creating some space, then I'm all about that.
You mentioned CeeDee Lamb, and we talked. I don't think you could have given CeeDee Lamb enough targets tonight. I mean, that was.
I believe this. I believe it. If you'd have given him 20 targets, he'd had 20 catches.
Yeah, he was brilliant. 7 of 17 for 117 yards. Was running wide open, and we thought that this would be the week. All right, it's a good matchup. That Chargers secondary. You can exploit some of their weaknesses, especially down a guy in J.C. Jackson, whom they expected to be a big free agent acquisition a couple of years ago. They traded him back to the New England Patriots. His fill-in hadn't been playing very well. It's pretty much just Asante Samuel Jr. And then Derwin James, they're moving all over the place. You never know if he's in coverage or if he's not. But CeeDee Lamb talked with the media postgame.
CeeDee, just how impressed were you with how Dak rebounded this week after last week?
I'm very impressed, of course. I mean, obviously we came out with a dub. He's much more focused. And as a team, we do our part to, make him look as good as he should be.
You expressed a lot of confidence in yourself. How important is it to have these kind of performances where you also show just, what you're capable of doing as well?
When things go good or bad, I'm still confident in myself. Like I said before, I like me versus anybody, man to man. So just coming out here and being able to provide for my team and contribute to a win is probably the best thing, for me. And I feel like I'm definitely an impactful player. So for us to get this going early and get me involved early was very important.
You talked about the receiver room a lot. How good was it to see Brandon Cooks have the game that he had today?
Very good. Clever player. Very much a vet. Happy for him to get in the end zone. And the best is still yet to come for him.
When you took the field tonight, was this team still angry, ticked off, or was that on your mind at all?
Not necessarily. You got to move on at some point, and obviously looking at this game was the next opportunity. So not necessarily looking at it to carry over, but to use it as motivation going into the game. I feel like there's a lot of things that we could have thought, going into the game, but for us to be locked in the way we are, there's a lot of things that we still got to clean up, but. Okay with this.
How important were Dak's legs today? Just the way that he, not just the running touchdown, but the way he moved around behind the last one.
Did a lot of great things. He improvised a lot, and obviously, gave us the ability to, do our workout scramble drill. So shout out to Dak for that, and he thinks he's fast now because he got a nice little rushing touchdown.
All the games up to this point have been double digits. This one, comes down to the end. What does it say about this team to be able to pull one out?
after not having to really be in the situation?
We love a blowout, of course, but I mean, if it's the NFL, every game is not going to be a blowout. Every team's going to give us our best. Give us their best, and we're going to give them ours. So this is a great game, great test for us going into the bye, but definitely, to show the resilience of this team and the ability for us to lock in.
I think every catch you had was a first down today. Just to have those, not just happy catches, but have them in big moments and convert for big plays. Is that something that is a little bit extra for you as well to do that?
No, man, that's just what I bring to the team. I'm very excited to be out there with my brothers, and they give me all the confidence going in every, the start of every drive. So the least I can do, I told the O-line, y'all block your tails off. The least I can do is give y'all a 20-yard game.
People were critical of Dak this week. How do you think he answered his performance tonight?
People are going to be critical of him regardless, and that's just, what the star is, and we were talking about it earlier. But just understanding the situation and the team that we have, we're a very resilient group, and we live to play for the next, I got our brothers next to us. Doing our 111 is the main thing that we can do, and for us to lock in together and, for all of us to do our 111, it ends up victorious.
As a receiver, what was your evaluation of Tony Pollard's 60-yard catch and run?
Shout out TP. I will give him a little, we all know what he should have done, but he was in the game he was in the drive a couple plays, so I give him the benefit of the doubt. But shout out TP for that.
I love it. I love CD channeling the 88 Club. Shout out to Dak for that. That's an old Des Bryant drop as well. And he's right. He's calling out TP for what we were all thinking. Come on, TP. We're used to you just finishing that one off in the end zone, but what a remarkable play. Great game for CD Lamb. There's no reason for him to ever not be the main focus of this offense. And, a game like last week, hey, the thing got out of hand. I can understand why he was frustrated, but certainly is the best offensive player this team has, and he was brilliant tonight.
I love when they ask him questions about other players.
Dak's legs.
Yeah, they're asking him all these questions, and he'd like to talk about some of the, guy had 7 catches for, 117 yards, and everybody's asking him questions about all these other players. What do you think
about Dak's legs?
Yeah, and he's like, it was great, Dak, this, that, and what do you think about Cooks? Cooks did great. Nobody's asking him about his game. He was out.
What do you think of TV's run?
Yeah, everybody was. It's like let's go get quotes from CD on everybody else's game, but his own. Yeah.
Oh, it was good. Also, Dak, by the way, with that touchdown to Brandon Cooks, and he threw 2 touchdowns. He had the Cooks one, and then that other one as well, the second that he had. But he's now thrown a touchdown against all 31 NFL opponents.
There you go.
Cool. Good for Dak Prescott.
There you go.
Shout out to Dak for that, huh?
Yeah.
Getting some texts, 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus. And it was the rushing touchdown, by the way, the other touchdown for Dak Prescott in case you're keeping score at home. But we got some questions about the trade deadline. Of course, the Cowboys heading into
people
the bye.
Asking for a corner.
I think people want a corner. And, that was my fear after the Diggs injury. It's like Bland's a great player. The dude was awesome last year. You have faith in Deron Bland. Certainly, there were 2 big plays. Maybe Keenan Allen could have hit on him. Luckily, Justin Herbert sailed it. But then he also came back, possibly could have had 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Deron Bland is a very, very good player. The issue is the trickle-down effect now. And Jordan Lewis, he probably didn't have his best game tonight.
Not at all.
But I do. And then Gilmore, as you've mentioned, veteran, savvy player, had the game-winning touchdown, but doesn't seem like he can quite run as well as you used to. Interception, yes.
Yeah, he is. You're right about the smarts, the savvy. You saw he got a little bloody today. He had he had a bloody knee game. We've seen bloody sock games.
Bloody sock.
Bloody socks.
Playoffs.
Bloody knee. Gilmore does not run as well as he once did. Gilmore is not as quick as he once is. Once was. The thing I worry the most about Gilmore is it's going to be a long season. And now you're going to see teams that will target him because if they get away from him, there's a good chance that they're going to get a completion there because I don't think he has the burst or the ability to close like he once did. There was times in the preseason where you're like, okay, yeah, he's doing a good job covering CD. He's doing this, that, and the other. But you watching in these games, there's people that are taking advantage of him a little bit. Because he just doesn't. When it's a one-on-one stationary type play. He's going to battle. We saw it tonight. He ended the game with an interception. But when you put him on the move and having to cover that way, I think it's something that teams are going to watch the All-22 and they're going to say, we need to go after Gilmore. Because the one thing you know about Bland can cover. Bland will be physical. Bland could get interceptions. It's surprising that Bland missed a couple of tackles tonight too. He's usually a very good tackler in space, but he whiffed on a couple of them pretty badly. But I think now the cornerbacks, you mentioned the trickle down effect. It's hurt him because Diggs playing on the outside, Bland playing in the slot, and Gilmore, you could probably hide one guy. I don't know if you could hide two.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they're at right now.
So would you agree that, and look, it's probably hard to acquire a corner. If teams have them, they're not really wanting to give them up. I know Denver's probably the hot team that is saying, hey, we're open for business here. Is that the position you think if they make a deal, that's the one that you'd address?
I think there's two spots I would address. I would probably address the linebacker spot just for this season. Hopefully you have Overshown back next year, but you're going to lose Van Der Esch probably. I think that maybe I'd have to see if I can get the value that I can get for a linebacker, and then a corner would be the two spots that I would probably look at.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text as the post-game show rolls on after a 20-17 Cowboys victory. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf.
for everyone. Book your tickets today. Visit attstadium.com/tours for tickets and information.
Prescott in the gun. Snap back. They blocked it up. Now he pulls it back. Now he escapes out to his right. Somebody run for him. Pollard in the middle of the field at the 35. Up to the 40. He broke away to the 40. Pollard's taking this all the way. Oh, no. At the 15-yard line. Oh, they caught him. Asante Samuel Jr. caught him after he got 60 yards.
What a play. Tony Pollard, a 60-yard catch that almost resulted in a touchdown, but Asante Samuel Jr., as Brad mentioned there, did indeed fetch him. What a play of the game, brought to you by WinStar. As the casino of the Dallas Cowboys, WinStar knows what it means to be a star. With over 10,000 of your favorite electronic games at the all-new two-story WinStar Spa and Cascades, their luxury pool complex, WinStar really is the place to feel like a star. Please game responsibly.
Man, that was a good read.
Thank you. I felt
amazing.
I felt silky smooth there.
Did you? Do you feel like you don't? Maybe if we go on a bye week, you think you'll lose that ability?
I will.
100 good reads.
I'll be rusty, no doubt. I bet I flub up the last one we do, the Jack Black read. That one gets me.
That one.
That's the one.
What's the one? Jack Black is. We always confuse it with the
blockchain.
Blockchain.
I flip them.
Yeah, you flip.
It's bad. It's the dyslexia. Zach Wolchuk, along with the much more talented Super Bowl winning scout.
You
got to hear my read.
Bryan Broaddus. Yo quiero.
Yo quiero. They actually asked me to do the reads on the break on DallasCowboys.com, and I will totally I'll say they're in towns we're not even in. Well, go to Fort Worth, and it's like, no, wait, go to Arlington, and I'll just
soon to be a new store.
It's like I'm making up crap as I go along.
Amazing.
Yeah.
877-881-1053. Of course, the number to call, the number to text. Let's get back to the phones. We will hear from Stephon Gilmore as well momentarily, but we got Carlos in Arizona, been waiting patiently. Carlos, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, boys? Good evening to you both. First off, great work to you both on this show, and then also the G-Bag Nation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are a beast. Brian, you're a beast, so keep up the good work
Thank
there.
you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. The refs tonight, I think, were horrible. I mean, there was a couple of stretches there where I think I saw a penalty like every other play, and so that was pathetic. I mean, if you want to look hard enough, yes, you can call a flag on every single play. So that was terrible. And then one thing I think nobody's really touched on is at the end of the first half, there was some time there where McCarthy could have called a timeout.
That was his call. His call.
Yeah.
Christy alerted us. Literally. Yeah. Christy alerted us to that right at half. She said she was standing next to Mike. Mike was next to the line judge, and they assumed that they were going to get the timeout, that Mike wanted the timeout, and he's like, no, just go ahead and take it down to 3, and so that's what he did. I have no idea.
I mean, you gave up literally for sure one shot at the end zone, right?
Yeah. You're not wrong.
You're under P's and Q's. Yeah. I mean, if you're on your toes like you should be as a head coach, why would you give up the opportunity to pass them 4 more points?
Yeah, I agree.
That makes no sense to me. That's like pathetic head coach, game management, whatever you want to call it. So somebody needs to call him out on that, because that was not acceptable from what I saw. Right. First, I thought the refs screwed it up because they were screwing up everything else, right?
No.
And then we got it. From after the ESPN halftime show, they came back and they talked about McCarthy wanted to do that. I'm like, why?
Yeah. No, yeah. I appreciate the call, Carlos, and we did. I mean, we mentioned it during the halftime show. They lose the game. I'm sure we probably would have talked about it more in the post game. So I do appreciate you bringing that back up, because it does deserve going back and referencing. But it was interesting clock management there, because it felt like, one, they left about 20 seconds run off the clock.
Well, that's the problem I had, and that the timeout that he used with 3 seconds. Okay, fine, that's his decision. The thing, the game management part is, somebody in the box has to be telling Mike, clock's running, and they had the John Perry, who's the official for ESPN, was saying that forward progress was stopped and then went out of bounds. So clock was running, and it appeared there was like 12 to 14 seconds running off the clock that was Dallas just could have banged a timeout here. I used the word bang like Jason Garrett.
Bang.
Bang a timeout there. And then you kind of regroup and then, okay, but you get your play going. And then maybe Mike wouldn't have had to run the damn thing down the 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But somebody in the box needs to be screaming in the headset, clock's running, get them up there, clock's running. Or, use a timeout, Mike. Clock's running.
100%.
And they just didn't. And it was just a lot of milling around. Let me tell you another thing. Bad game management from the Cowboys today. If you want to nitpick on some stuff, they burned 2 timeouts on 12 men on the field. Am I right about that?
They did, and I really thought with how
and they
close
got
this
called
game was.
one time. Did they burn 2 timeouts?
They
burned 1 timeout.
They burned one. They got flagged for one previously.
And they got called.
Yeah.
And, okay, damn it. I mean, you were down 1 timeout. If that game turns into, all I could think about was, and this is my LSU Tigers playing against Arkansas, and Arkansas used all their timeouts. Like they used 2 back-to-back in the game, and they needed them at the end, and they didn't have any. And LSU just ran out the clock and kicked the game-winning field goal. But you're burning timeouts for 12 men on the field? Come on, man.
Yeah. And I will say, when it comes to the officiating, tune in to Krusty's Corner, 240 usually on the G-Bag Nation, the flagship 105 through the fan, because you do a great job of running through what to expect.
Yeah.
And everything that you said, that crew hit on with the unnecessary roughness, right? The illegal contact downfield.
Right.
They were very flag happy, and we knew that Land would do that.
Yeah, that was something, and thank you for bringing that up. I take a lot of pride in trying to figure out these officials. But I will say this, and I know the previous caller was kind of pissed, and there were a lot of calls. But there were calls when you went back and watched them, there were hands to the face.
Yeah.
There were holding. There were 12 men on the field. I didn't see anything agree. Hell, your Dallas Cowboys got a huge break on a 3rd and 19?
3rd and 19.
3rd and 19, you get a defense, you get what? Two
penalties.
Two calls, both for defensive holding in the secondary. That doesn't happen.
As long as you call it both ways, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And they did ultimately. I mean, there were some that they probably even missed. I mean, they didn't call the Gallup hold on what should have been the touchdown. He still should have caught it. He didn't. But there were a lot of flags. It was a messy game. But you're right. I don't think that the calls that they made were actually bad calls.
No, it just appeared to me. Now, I think they missed Tolbert getting his hands in the face, or
the fumble.
On the fumble. But I think overall, when you look at the play, no calls. How many no calls were there, or should have been no calls? There was maybe a holding call. Who was the holding I was thinking of? Somebody got yanked. Oh, it was Gallup on the Gallup.
Yeah, the Gallup play.
Gallup probably should have caught that ball regardless.
Absolutely.
Should have caught that ball regardless. But, he got yanked a little bit on that play. There was a call on the outside. I know Aikman, there was a route that was run on the outside. Aikman said, I was looking for the defensive holding there.
It might have been Cooks.
Yeah, it might have been Cooks. Or, it might have been the pass that they tried to throw to Pollard.
It was. That's exactly what it was.
They got bumped.
Pollard got bumped, yes.
Yeah, outside the 5-yard zone. So, there were some that, they miss. Officials do that. But it appeared to me the ones that they did call were legitimate calls.
I agree. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text as we hang out with you until the top of the hour here on the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys as the Cowboys get the road win, 4-2 on the year, 20-17 now as they knock off the L.A. Chargers. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
People will always come and go in our lives, but we all know those few.
Aurora is where solved happens. Call 855-239-5153 or visit Pollock.com today.
3rd and 10 at the Charger 25. Herbert back. Pressure coming again. Throws it out. Intercepted. Gilmore jumped in at the Los Angeles 32. And you can credit the pressure for that one.
That is our defensive stand of the game, brought to you by Reliant and NRG Company. Stephon Gilmore getting the game-winning interception. Oh, he needed that one, and so did the Cowboys to secure a 20-17 win right before Micah Parsons finally got home. They'd been banging at the door all night long. Justin Herbert, very, very good at evading defenders and being able to extend plays, difficult to bring down. Cowboys were getting a ton of pressure all night long. They hadn't gotten a sack yet. And in one of the biggest moments of the game, Micah Parsons able to get home. Finally, just had one. It was one-on-one. They were putting 2 or 3 blockers in front of him the whole game, but Micah with a big-time sack there. Now, speaking of Stephon Gilmore, let's hear from Gilly post-game.
Stephon, you talked about best players coming up in the big moments. Yeah. Can you take us through that last drive with Micah getting the sack and then you getting the pick?
Yeah, it was big. It was a lot of back and forth all night, just trying to keep that short-term memory. And was able to make a play at the end, and that's what big-time players do.
For road games, this is a pretty good win for your team, especially with what happened last week.
Yeah.
Tell me how significant this one was.
It was big. The more and more games you play each week, the games get bigger. They got a great football team. We was able to, make more plays than they did.
How did you feel Dak rebounded after the game he had last week?
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. It ain't always going to be perfect. You got to be able to learn from your mistakes and put it behind you and get better each week.
Stephon, how different is the bye coming off a win like this as opposed to how you were feeling just a couple days ago after last week? I mean, how different does it feel now?
It feels good. You never want to go into a bye week with a loss. So, we was happy we was able to come out with a win. So, we just got to, get healthy, clean some stuff up that we don't do well, and go from there.
We know how good Justin is, and you did a good job. They didn't have very many big plays. Thoughts about how you defended their quarterback?
Yeah, he's a great quarterback. He got a strong arm. He liked to throw the ball a lot. He got some good receivers, so he was able to play tight coverage. They made some plays. We made some plays, and like I said, we made more plays than they did.
You've gone against CD and Brandon in practice a lot, just for both of them to come up the way they did.
Yeah.
I mean, how important was that for you guys?
No, those guys are great players. CD, Brandon, they work extremely hard. They tough to cover, and I'm happy they're on our team.
How's Deron Bland been playing? He almost had another pick six tonight.
He's a great player. He's super focused. He works extremely hard. He'll have a long career, a great career.
Yeah, Stephon Gilmore, they're talking Deron Bland afterwards as well.
They talk about everybody but the guy.
Yeah, man. But big interception for Stephon Gilmore. And we've mentioned, at this stage in his career.
Yeah. I was talking to people on Twitter about this, and well, that's probably why we got him for a 5th round. Like, no, he is an upgrade over Anthony Brown. There's no question about that. But you're in a situation right now where you just have to be aware.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Dan Quinn, you're probably watching the tape. If you're asking him to do stuff that you felt like that he could have done 5, 6, 7 years ago, probably not the best thing to do. But the way that he's been able to to make plays at the end of some of these games, just realize that probably teams are going to, when they go at him, they're going to challenge him in a way of making him have to run across to cover routes. they feel like that they can get separation on, maybe even try and go up the field on him because there is some separation in the way that that people are getting to him.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Let's go out to Kyle, who's been waiting patiently in Miami. Kyle, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate your work.
Yeah.
Couple observations from the game. Wanted to get your thoughts. Not to harp on it too much, Brian, you mentioned the missed face mask on the Tolbert play. It was interesting to not hear any word about fair catch interference. I was curious your thoughts on that, and if that's a thing, if you can actually force a defending player into his teammate when attempting to make a fair catch.
They were talking about that. That's a, like they consider that blocking. So you can like if you can overpower your blocker, and as long as he's engaged, he can run you right into that. And as long as it's not you making the contact, but if it's your teammate making the contact, that's fair game right there.
Let's go to Iron he's headed to Nashville right now. So not in Nashville, but we're headed to Nashville. Well, where are we at? Where are we at right now, my dude?
Right now, I'm coming to Little Rock. I'm on my truck. I just left Dallas.
Okay.
I live in Dallas, so I'm on my way to Nashville. First, I want to apologize to you guys. I called in after Arizona lost because I was thinking that you guys were bashing Dak, and you weren't. So I want to apologize to you guys
good, man.
for that. So I don't have to defend Dak today.
Let us have our show tomorrow. We'll bash Dak for you tomorrow if you want.
We won't, but somebody will.
Yeah, somebody from our station will bash Dak tomorrow. Get ready. Yeah.
No, Shady and him will do that. But
yeah, true.
That's true.
Yeah, but Dak's play defended him. I'm a Tony Pollard fan. I like Tony Pollard, even though I still wish the Cowboys would have traded up to get Bijan, but that's another story for another day. My issue with this Cowboys offense, something that Emmett had, DeMarco Murray had, and Zeke had in his early years, and I'm not talking about a good offensive line. They all had a great fullback. The Cowboys drafted a dang good fullback. Why aren't they using him? And if you're going to use Tony Pollard the way you are, you got another running back in Rico Dowdle. Why don't you use him more? If you used your fullback, if you gave Rico Dowdle the ball a little bit more and mix it up like they did with Zeke and Pollard, I think you could get Pollard more. I think you can get him open more. I think he'd be more effective. I'm not complaining about the game because I'm happy they won.
Sure.
But I'm just saying that running game could be more effective. You got a fullback. You have a fullback, and he's a good one. Use him. I mean, what did you draft him for if you're not going to use him?
Yeah, I appreciate the call. So they signed him as an undrafted rookie free agent. The interesting thing with Hunter Lipke, Brian and I both like him a lot, especially in short yardage in the red zone.
Yes.
Going back to North Dakota State, and I know you can speak more on this as well, Brian.
You watched him too.
He didn't block.
Not at all.
He was
not at all. He's a one-back runner.
Yeah, he was a one-back runner. They used him some at tight end. I mean, he's a Swiss Army knife. He can do a lot of things, but he's not your prototypical I formation. No. I'm going to pave the way for my tailback.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have a neck roll, and he isn't Moose Johnston or Robert Newhouse or any one of these guys that throughout Dallas Cowboy history that's been a really good blocking fullback. He is a good player. He catches the ball better than anything he can do. And I think he's, he gives it effort, but he's not the most consistent. I'm not saying he'll go in there sideways, but there's some problems. He just, trying to learn where he needs to fit and where he needs to be able to take his guy. That's the one thing. When Moose Johnston blocked for Emmitt Smith, there was never a hesitation. Emmitt knew exactly where Moose was going to go. Sometimes you put a fullback in front of a runner like a Tony Pollard or somebody that's quick, and all of a sudden there's some hesitation about where he's going to go or where he's going to take his man. That makes that hesitation for the back even worse. They want to attack the hole, to the hole, get through the hole, and go. And I just haven't seen that from Hunter Lipke as this, this linebacker, or this fullback, sir, that you're talking about.
Yeah.
If he was going in there, Kyle Juszczyk, and Kyle Juszczyk is one of the best. They got the guy at the Ravens. These guys are mailboxes, Coke machines with arms that go in there and just dig people out. And I don't think that's Hunter Lipke's game, at least through 6 weeks of this NFL season.
I'm with you. But yes, there are ways that you can get him more involved and use him more. And I hear what you're saying about Rico Dowdle. We were watching as well. There's a noticeable burst there with Rico, especially interior runs. I mean, that's never been necessarily the strength of TP. Rico could help in that regard.
Dallas is not winning nearly enough up front. Our buddy Zach Martin and Terrence Steele and those guys, man, we've seen more space from those two. We've talked about the tight ends, Ferguson, Schoonmaker. You know, it's been kind of not, and I'm the guy that's been championing Schoonmaker. Been very much just a guy right now. You know, 6 weeks in, you need to be better there. If they're going to, but
I didn't in the snap count tonight. You didn't really see a lot.
I didn't see a whole lot of him at all. But the thing that I worry about is Tyler Smith was not as bad tonight as he was last week, but he wasn't great. Mm-hmm. And I think there's some the law firm of Smith and Smith on that left side are having some issues. I don't think the center is playing particularly well, but I think the center's hurt. You know, I think the center's
been banged up since camp.
I think he's fighting through a lot of things right now. As a whole, that five, the tight ends, it just hasn't been as good. And we saw Tony maybe not be as quick to and through the hole as I mentioned. And there's been some issues there. Hell, we've even talked about it with Deuce Vaughn. Everybody's like, man, what's wrong with Deuce Vaughn? If you watch Deuce Vaughn carry the ball, it seems like he has nowhere to go.
Yep.
Nowhere to go when running the football.
Deuce Vaughn inactive tonight as well. First game he has been inactive in his young NFL career. 20-17 Cowboys over the Chargers. We'll try sneak in these last couple of calls. We'll also give you your player of the game as we put a bow on these things and look ahead to the Cowboys matchup post-bye. You are listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, and Dallas Cowboys football will continue in just a moment.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
The Whataburger Sweet and Spicy Bacon Burger is an all-time favorite. It brings so many flavors together in harmony, you might wonder if it's greater than the sum of its parts. It's got 2 all-beef patties, both of which fantastic. Crispy bacon, love that. Grilled onions, melty cheese, I mean, who would say no? And sweet and spicy pepper sauce. Yes, please. I guess we're kind of partial to every part. The Sweet and Spicy Bacon Burger from Whataburger, just like you like it.
I'm Darren Woodson, former Dallas Cowboy player and Super Bowl champion. When I played in the NFL at a high level, I relied on my vision to see the field. As I started getting older, I noticed my vision wasn't as good, and I was getting frustrated from wearing my glasses all day. I went to Laser Care Eye Center, and Dr. G talked about all the options. Thanks to technology and Laser Care Eye Center, I can see near, far, and between. Don't fumble your vision any longer. Visit them at dfweyes.com and tell them Darren sent you. They got me back on my game.
Tom Thumb's new Drive Up and Go service makes grocery shopping easy and convenient for anyone.
25 pounds of ground chuck, 15 bags of hamburger buns, 28 bags of Tostitos, 10 packs of Pepsi, and some barbecue tongs.
You pick the time, you drive up, and go.
With Tom Thumb's Drive Up and Go, anyone has time in their schedule to go grocery shopping. Just a few clicks away, and you can feed your team.
Everyone can be a grocery pro bowler with Tom Thumb's Drive Up and Go. Download the app or try an online order to get started today.
Spurs assistant coach Becky Hammond on inspiration.
I hope it's an inspiration to girls out there, being the first woman to coach an NBA team. But I've always been more inspired by the future, not by what I've done, but by what's coming next.
What do you want to do next? Whether it's buying a home, growing your wealth, or protecting your assets, SWBC is here to support your next steps toward financial success with personalized service and expert advice.
Visit SWBC.com to take the next step toward your financial future.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off.
Wide open at the 45 and down to the Charger 40-yard line before Dean Marlowe gets him after a 23-yard gain and a rather showy spike by Lamb at the end of that.
Yes, sir. CeeDee Lamb, 7 targets, 7 catches, 117 yards, averaging over 16 yards a catch. He is our player of the game, brought to you by Jack Black. Want to use what the pros use? Jack Black is the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit getjackblack.com today.
I tell you what, when I worked for the Dallas Cowboys, DallasCowboys.com, and we used to get those Jack Black products, it's actually really, really good. I mean, even for a crusty old guy like me, the skincare stuff, and it's the shave cream. It was really nice to get that. That and Tommy John underwear were the two best things that we got. But man, when you get really old, that Tommy John underwear is for like young guys.
Oh,
It's not for the old.
I shouldn't be rocking this.
I shouldn't be wearing these because I felt like if I got hit in a car and they had to and I was in the Tommy Johns, they would
this
go.
Is a surprise.
They'd go like, why is this old guy wearing this type of underwear? You know.
Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus with that type of analysis right there on what underwear you should be rocking at your specific crusty old age. All right, let's sneak in one last call as we are up against it. But we got Nick, who's been waiting very patiently from Virginia. Nick, how you doing, sir, after this 20-17 Cowboys win?
Awesome, man. Great to talk to you guys. I usually don't call in. I usually just listen, after pregame, but we're going into a bye, so I just wanted to call in this time, man. Broaddus, I follow your work, man, every week on the break, man. You're awesome. I'm glad to be able to talk to you briefly, man.
Thank you, man.
But so I'm gonna go. So yeah. So my thing with the Cowboys, man, is it was a good fight. I'm really proud of the guys the way they competed to get a win, but we struggle in a lot of areas still. This team is at its best when they play complementary football. So the offense doesn't have to score 30 plus a game, but you're going to have to be efficient and you're going to have to sustain drives. So my thing is sustaining drives. We're going to have to be able to run the ball better. You guys were touching on it with Rico Dowdle. I think we should really nix all the runs that we give Pollard from I form and single back, because teams know what we're going to do, and it's a 1 yard to a negative 2 yard gain every time. And I think that's what halts this offense a little bit. So I would even think about wide receiver screens. We could, out of 5 wide, you could wide receiver screen the CD or Brandon Cooks, and I feel like that'll get this offense moving more, a little bit more creativity. And other than that, I like the way how the front seven, I like the way how they get their hands up now in games. I've seen it 2 weeks in a row. With the front, good things happen when you do that. They got lucky. Justin Herbert got lucky with him catching his own tip this game.
Yeah.
But
no doubt.
If that was a batted down incomplete pass, that would have stopped that whole drive, and that's a big turning point. So
absolutely,
we're getting better, and it's unfortunate that we have to say, our head coach, he's in year 4 now, but I guess he's getting better, I guess, in terms of the way he can handle
I
this
appreciate the
game
call, Nick. Thank you so much. Don't want to cut you off, but I know we've only got probably about a minute left. But I think, mixing in a little bit more of Rico Dowdle wouldn't hurt. The wide receiver screen certainly were a staple in the Kellen Moore offense. Maybe you've got 2 players, as you mentioned there, in Cooks and Lamb, that could work with. You just want to get them the ball in space.
Yeah, no, it's glad to see we got a little bit of a screen game going, which it's not the wide receiver screen. I knew Kellen Moore was going to throw a running back screen. He didn't do it one time. It felt like,
and then here it is.
And here he is. He saw the San Francisco game, so that tells you all you need to know right there. But they do need to figure out things with this offensive line, and I'm looking forward to the next 5 hours, getting up, watching why they struggle with running the football this week. Why was it something scheme wise they could have done differently? Or is it just that they're just not, as a group, getting it done?
Yeah. Cowboys are off, and then they've got a home game against the Rams at noon. Thank you so much to Ross, Jeff, Chris, Justin, Tim, of course, Peyton. We'll be back after the bye. Until then, you're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Cowboys Nation is big because everything's bigger in Texas. And Reliant has the energy to power it all. From home field advantage